Feeling really good about this team. The Pittsburgh game doesn't change anything for me. Pop, what's going on, man?
Son, week 11. Wow.
It feels like the season just started yesterday, man. It's flying by. We are well past the halfway point of the season. Just crazy stuff.
No bye week yet either, right? So kind of they're just piling up. Those games are just piling up.
Yeah, and they certainly are piling up for our boys in Burgundy and Gold, man. It's getting tough. It's tough sledding. This is when it gets hard to win football games, and this is why when fans talk early in the year about, oh, you haven't played anybody, you're blowing everybody up, but you're not playing everybody. Yeah, that's why you do that, because now it starts to get tricky. Now things start to get tough. Injuries pile up. When you're healthy, you got to go out there, chop some wood. Got some easy teams on the schedule. You chop some wood, and that puts your Washington Commanders at 7-3. So guys, just a little housekeeping here. You should know by now we are doing the Eagles pregame podcast. You saw it in the title, but just reminding you, please stay tuned. We got Bada Bets. We got our NFL Week 11 picks coming up this week. We, as a program, are well over 500. Both me and Pop. One of us, I won't name him, one of us is particularly hot right now on some are saying historical, generational. It's words like that are being thrown around about the run that one of us is on. And to find out which one, stay tuned for the Bada Bets halfway through. And guys, the best investment you can make this week is to subscribe to the Dom and Pop podcast. Now we're bringing you these pregame pods every Thursday. Usually you get them Thursday. Today you're getting them a day early because Commanders play Thursday. But generally you get the Thursday pod, and then you're going to get a postgame pod from us on Friday this week. So right back at you with the postgame pod.
Boys are grinding.
Short week for us too. So don't forget to subscribe. Normally Monday postgame pod, Thursday pregame pod, and then even in the off season, you're getting pods twice a week from the boys. So what more can you ask for, man? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Keep an eye out. Giveaway might be coming up soon. There's some dialogue. We're talking. Nothing firmed up yet, but keep an eye out for some fun stuff. And let's get into it, man. Let's get into some football.
Let's do it.
Pop, Commanders are 7-3. Where's your head at? Where's the vibe check? This is how we start off every midweek pod.
Vibes are good. I mean, being 7-3 and certainly looking ahead at that schedule, which is pretty favorable. Beyond the Eagles game, you feel pretty good about it. But I think what I feel good about is the opportunity that's in front of us Thursday night. It's all there in front of us. First place in the division, taking control back, especially with then a mini bye and the Cowboys at a home game, which we'll get into a little bit later. So I think it's all in front of us. With this Eagles game, we can get right back to, where we need to be, top of the division.
Yep.
And a loss wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would certainly firmly put us more in that wild card position than that division leading position. So it's a great game, and I do think I like what I'm hearing from Dan Quinn and the guys. I posted a quote on Instagram where Terry McLaurin said the same thing Dan Quinn said. We like the fact that it's a short week. We had a tough loss.
Yeah.
We like the opportunity to get that right back out there and get that bad taste out of our mouth. So I think they're going to play well. I think it's going to be a really competitive game, and I like our chances.
Yeah, I'm hype. I agree with you. I think the short week plays to our advantage, if possible. I mean, optimistically, that's definitely the case, right? Of course, you want a little time for guys to recover from injuries. You want guys to just be able to go through their normal recovery process and prevent injuries going forward, because that's always another concern on Thursday Night Football is these short weeks. Guys don't get to recover fully. But it's football, man, bumps and bruises. And the good thing is you get through this game, you get a little mini bye, which this team needs. You get 10 days off. This team's pretty banged up across the board. We'll get into those injuries in a second, but my vibe overall is pretty high, man. I'm feeling really good about this team. The Pittsburgh game doesn't change anything for me. I think we've been waiting for this team to blink for 10 weeks now, and they blinked. It's just the reality of it. They probably had about 6 or 7 chances to really put that game away or to put the game in a position where Pittsburgh really has to fight for their lives, and they just weren't able to do it. But you got to take a step back. You go, okay, they were leading by 10 while playing pretty much their worst football of the year against a really, really solid Pittsburgh team. And you only lose by 1 point, and on a rookie jumping off sides and by half an inch on the 4th down call, miss PI on the 3rd down call. A lot of stuff kind of going on. And you take it on the chin and you keep going. You got to look at it 7-3. And I did some math, which is a scary thing for this podcast, but I did some math. I ran some calculations. I want to walk the boys through it, and then I want to talk about these Commanders injuries. But the math here is right now we are 7-3, right? We've got Philly twice, we've got Dallas twice, and then we've got 3 games out of the division: Tennessee, New Orleans, and Atlanta. Now, Tennessee and New Orleans are awful. Atlanta is kind of middle of the pack, 6-4 right now. They've had some good weeks, they've had some really bad weeks. I like our chances against Atlanta. Let's be conservative. Let's be conservative about the way the rest of the season goes. You split with Philly. You go 1-1. Maybe on this short week, we go out, we hit them in the mouth. You figure these are 2 pretty evenly matched teams. Let's say we split with Philly, right? Either we win this week or we win at home, whatever it is. Then Dallas, no Dak Prescott for the rest of the year. Wheels are off the cart there. Should sweep Dallas. I think you can be conservative and say we should win both of those games. Dallas is in tank mode, right? Then against New Orleans, Tennessee at home, and Atlanta, you go 2-1. Let's say you drop one of those games. I don't think you do, but let's say you drop one. Let's say you lose to Atlanta because that's the best team of the 3. That puts you at 12-5. 12-5 is a really, really legitimate shot at winning the NFC East. And if not, probably going to be the top wild card seed. We have Minnesota is really good. Obviously, Detroit surging with only 1 loss right now. That kind of impacts that a bit. But 12-5 gives you guaranteed playoffs at that point. If you can find a way to sweep Philly, you're going to win the division for sure. If you win 13 games, you're probably going to win the division for sure as well. So 12-5, even if we only beat the teams on our schedule remaining that are under 500, which is what every Giants fan who's 2-8, by the way, wants to say on Twitter, that we only beat teams under 500. Guess what, Giants fans? That would put us at 11 wins for the year.
It's also incorrect.
It's also statistically incorrect, but Giants
beat Arizona.
Most Giants fans can't read. So I'm not mad at that. Most because we got a couple Giants fans in the family, and I do love them dearly, and they're not reflective of the population. But population, not so great. Anyways, that's where I'm at on that. So yeah, my vibes are pretty high because I have a real shot at my football team winning 11 games this year, and that's awesome. That is really exciting. I'm really pumped about that. I think great signs to come about where the rebuild is, where things are. And I think this is a team, all things considered, when we go over these injuries, when we go over what we've been fighting for, can really benefit from this late bye week and maybe start to heat things up towards the end of the season if they hit a bit of a lull in these middle weeks, which I don't think there's any reason to believe we're going to.
Well, things set pretty up. I mean, I think I've got a point about the Eagles game. I don't want to reel it back into there, but you think about it after this Eagles games, even if, it's going to be a tough game, even if we drop it, you've got that mini bye, you got the Cowboys and the Titans. So that's what, week 12 and 13, and then we're on a bye, right? Week 14. So you got 2 very winnable games before a bye week. So I agree with you. We're able to rest up. That Cowboys game is a home game. That Titans game is a home game. And then we get the bye week. So there's really an opportunity to get really healthy over the course of that period. Yeah. But reeling it back into the Eagles for a second, we always spend so much time, maybe all the fan bases do that, and talk about how tough the opponent is, right? But you got to be thinking, maybe they're gonna have to not think about it. But we're one of the toughest opponents on the Eagles' schedule too,
Yep.
and they've not necessarily played a lot of really hard games here recently. So, and even a team like the Jaguars took them down to the wire.
Yep.
So, I don't think we need to be on our back foot a bit with being, oh, they're so talented, and how are we going to beat them? We can beat them. We'll get into the formula on how to do that. And I think this team is going to come out a bit angry over that Pittsburgh result.
Yeah.
But I like it. I agree. I think 11-12 wins is well within our sight. And given the rest of the schedule, we just got to take care of business. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, Eagles got spanked by the Bucks, lost to the Falcons by a point, and then barely squeezed by the Saints. I remember that was a super close game. Same thing with the Browns, barely squeezed by the Browns. Jaguars had a real shot at the end there, and Trevor Lawrence just threw it to the wrong guy, something that he's getting known to do at this point. And then otherwise, I mean, they've played the same schedule as us. They play all the same, when you're in the division, you play all the same teams from the other divisions. So they've got a tougher schedule coming down the stretch than we do with, they got to play Baltimore and Pittsburgh coming up here and LA as well. But I agree with you, Pop. I think it's a great point. They haven't played a team of our caliber really yet this year.
Well, and hopefully we're looking ahead, which is okay. That's what podcasters do.
Yeah, we're not
I hope the boys are completely 100%, and I'm sure they are focused to getting this one on Thursday night. It's exciting. Let's enjoy it. Let's take it in. Jaden Daniels in prime time. A game for the division lead on Thursday Night Football in Week 11. Who had that on their predictions preseason, right? Yep. So we should just really relish in this, enjoy it. Let's compete our asses off as fans. Hopefully we see some burgundy in the stands. I won't be there, but I'll be there in spirit with whoever's traveling up there. So yeah, I think let's get into some of the news and notes and your scouting report. I can't wait to hear the scouting report.
Yeah, so start with almost a commander scouting report here, talking about our injuries. Brian Robinson dealing with a hamstring, same leg as that knee that he was dealing with initially. Obviously, that's a bit of a concern. Didn't go last week because of the hamstring. You hope he went this week. I wonder to a degree in some of these guys who didn't go last week, how much of that was thinking, okay, we're on a short week. Like, let's not set them up to, re-injure themselves either today or next week against Philly. But Brian Robinson Jr. didn't go last week. Hamstring, questionable, limited practice today. Tyler Biadasz, with ribs, thumb, and foot.
Sounds like Pop.
Limited
after
practice.
A weekend of golf or something.
Yeah, sounds like Pop after waking up the wrong way, right?
Exactly. Hurt myself sleeping.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing as what Tyler Biadasz does on Sundays, right? What our all-pro center does on Sundays. He's obviously, I think he's the most important piece of this offensive line right now, key piece to the team. I think he'll end up going. He's a tough guy. He finished out the game last week. I wouldn't anticipate that to go any other way, though I don't know. I'm just taking guesses here. Brandon Coleman, shoulder, same thing. I think he's just maintaining that shoulder. It's probably starting to get a little bit sore, that same shoulder that he dealt with at the beginning of the year after 2 full starts and after starting against Pittsburgh, who, kind of took him to lunch a little bit. I think that shoulder is probably pretty sore. Cornelius Lucas, good to see him back in limited fashion, practicing with that ankle. You hope that's an indicator that he can go because you also have Andrew Wiley dealing with a shoulder. Now, I anticipate Wiley will be good to go given that he was actually active last week. They still decided to start Trent Scott, but Wiley was kind of a game time decision. He was active, and then you walk out with the first sequence and you see, Trent Scott's out there. And for what it's worth, Trent Scott was half decent, and they actually did a pretty good job of game planning around TJ Watt and helping out Trent Scott. But you do want to see Andrew Wiley out there because he's been, I never thought I'd say this, he's been a really good piece of this offensive line. He's been playing really, really well this year. Fans who are still kind of judging him based off of what he did the last year are sorely mistaken. He's been very good this year. So yeah, that's the limited guys. Marshawn Lattimore still has not practiced. Austin Seibert has not practiced. Not massively concerned about Seibert. Gonzalez looked solid last week. You hope it doesn't come down to Gonzalez having to drill a 52-yarder to win the game. But frankly, Seibert hasn't been good outside of 50 this year anyways. So I'm not sweating that one a ton or as much as some of these other guys are. Hope I don't have to eat my words on that. But Lattimore is disappointing. You'd love to see Lattimore go.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, I think Lattimore at this point, if he hasn't practiced 2 days into the week, 2 days into a 3-day practice week, it seems really doubtful that we're going to see him.
Not so hot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably evolved into one of those, let's give him 10 more days to really get well, and then we'll get rolling with him.
Yeah.
All the guys you listed off as limited, I'm hoping B-Rob was on the radio this morning. Sounded pretty positive to me. Of course, he's always wanting to go. So I'm hoping all of these guys that have practiced in a limited fashion are trending towards playing.
Yeah.
That O-line is luckily no one has like a multi-week injury, but they're a little bruised up, I'd say.
Yeah, and that happens with linemen over the course of the year. And when you got a week 14 bye week, I think you're going to start to see more DNPs and limiteds as you go, just because guys will get the chance to rest and get that recovery in. On the Eagles side, they're dealing with some key injuries as well. Dallas Goedert, Darius Slay, and Devontae Smith all did not practice today. So that's something to be aware of.
Those guys have been, I know that Smith and Goddard have been nursing injuries all year.
Yeah.
They're both on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say that, but they are.
Oh, that's fair. I drafted CD Lamb. You got to do what you got to do, man. It's fantasy. But
they got some young corners we might be able to take advantage of.
You hope. Yeah. Especially if Slay's out, that could really open up that secondary. And I think in general, I mean, if you had to name like the 10 best players on the Eagles, I think Goddard, Slay, and Devontae Smith would all be in that 10. So never want to root for injuries or play for injuries or hope guys can't go. You want to get guys at their full strength and beat them anyways. But just stuff to be aware of when we get into that Eagles scouting report, which I'm about ready to get rolling on here, Pop.
Let's do it.
Basically, right now, the Eagles are ranked the number 2 defense in the NFL, top 5 versus the run, number 6 versus the pass on points allowed. Personally, I'm not particularly blown away by that. I think it's one of those things where the numbers look a little bit better than what actually is going on. And if you look at, the offenses that they've faced, when they faced a decent offense, they've really struggled. I mean, the Packers put up 29 on them in week 1. The Falcons have a good offense. They won. Buccaneers have a good offense. They smacked them. And then otherwise, I mean, you're talking about the Saints, the Browns, the Giants. Bengals are solid. They did a good job containing the Bengals, but Bengals have been up and down all year. And the Jaguars just put up 23 on them. So I don't know. Those defensive stats don't wow me. I mean, this team is like number 6 against the pass right now. And you and I watch this team every week, and you would say we don't have a good pass defense. But by certain metrics, we're one of those teams, So I'm not particularly blown away by that. I think we're like number 9 against the pass, and our pass defense stinks. So whatever. Offensively, obviously, Jalen Hurts at any given moment can turn into that all-star that we saw him world beater a couple years ago. Just hasn't been that since then. There's no way around it. Was nursing an injury last year. This year has shown flashes of it. He is incredibly talented. And at any moment, he can make a play that makes you go, holy crap. But consistency through 4 quarters, interceptions, those kinds of things have been issues for Jalen Hurts. The guy I'm most afraid of on this whole team, and there's a lot of talent on this team, the guy I'm most afraid of is Mr. Saquon Barkley. that guy is playing his best football. He's healthy. He's doing what he's doing. And when all things Saquon are firing on all cylinders, he's one of the best players in the National Football League. We're talking like Christian McCaffrey level game breaker. I think he's better than CMC when both are fully healthy. I take Saquon any day because Saquon will run you over too. There's just nothing that guy can't do. He's just a freak, and it's a shame he's been hurt as much as he's been, although it's played to our advantage given that he was a Giant for so long. That's who I'm most worried about. And then right down that list is Mr. A.J. Brown. He is just, you want to talk about a freak. You want to talk about somebody who's just as good as you can possibly be at the position. Having a little bit more of a down year this year, a little bit dinged up. Eagles production offensively in general has gone more through Saquon Barkley, so that's going to impact. It's going to bring A.J. Brown's numbers down. But he was on a stretch last year where he looked like the best receiver to ever play football.
That's where you'd love to have Lattimore available this week.
Yeah, because Lattimore has put A.J. Brown in jail many times before. So you'd love to have him available, but for the Lattimore haters out there, for the people already saying this is a busted trade, we got him under contract for 2 more years. What are we talking about? This was not a move. Adam Peters does not make moves to win one game in the middle of a season. This was not a move for Thursday. This was a move for December, January,
and hopefully a playoff run.
God willing, February. And this is a move for September through February of the next 2 years. That's what the move is for. The move is not for today or Thursday at that matter. So, yeah, I mean, otherwise, Eagles' offensive line has struggled this year, losing Jason Kelce. That backup center is not, or I guess he's a starting center now, but the guy that preceded Jason Kelce, not quite that guy. And Jordan Mailata has been on IR for a while. He's dealing with like a hamstring. Don't really know what's going on there. Not sure he's going to play. Offensive line in general is just not in a great situation. And defensively, they're stout, man. They got a lot of talent there. Haven't been blitzing much. Haven't been rushing the passer much, but doing pretty decent at defending both the run and the pass. But they ain't faced Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders yet, so we'll see how that goes for your stats and for this team. I think this is going to be a pretty awesome thing to watch. Tall ask from a rookie, short week, going into Lincoln Financial, primetime game, but he's played at Bama. He can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Saquon's the one that would keep me up at night the most. I mean, we are near the bottom of the league against the run, and he's about as good a running back as we've ever faced. So that's scary. And, that can open up play action and really, unleash those weapons. So I think it'd be perfect to get into these keys to the game because I think we'll try to address some of these concerns in our keys.
Definitely, yeah, let's do it. So key number 1, Pop's got this one. It says run damn ball. Eagles defense 5th versus the run, but still giving up 100.7 yards per game. We might need Jaden to get a little something done with his legs here in the run game. Maybe some more designed quarterback runs, quarterback boots, sweeps, things of that nature. You saw the one play where at the end of that Steelers game where Jaden audibled into a quarterback draw and the Steelers defensive tackle just made an unbelievable play because there was about 30 yards of green grass there. Might need a few more of those quarterback draws in this game. Might need to see Jaden do something with his legs. But running the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage via running the ball is going to be key for this offense. And our best offensive performances this year have been a result of us running for 230 yards and passing for 230, not getting out of balance. So running that football is going to be key, and it keeps the ball out of Saquon Barkley's hands. It keeps the ball out of the Eagles' hands and out of that potent offense's hands.
I think, it would be great if we could get B-Rob back, but we've got to work on establishing that run. And I think there's been some talk this week about whether or not they've been protecting Jaden a little bit because of that rib injury. I feel like we got to turn him loose this week. I feel like he's going to have to make more plays with his legs for us to win this game. And I think by him making plays with his legs, it opens up a lot, right? Yeah. It opens up that play action. It gets them back on their heels. It makes them try and play more contained, a little bit more cautiously. So I think we've got to turn Jaden loose a a little bit, or maybe he's got to go into that game with the mentality. I don't want him to get hurt. I want him to be smart about it. But I think he's got to use his legs a lot more than what we've seen the last couple of weeks, especially last week, for us to be successful.
Definitely. And point number two, key number two, is going to be to find a way to put points up on the board and finish drives. Bottom line is I think this is probably going to be a shootout. And I think you're going to need 24 plus to win this football game. I think that's going to be what it's going to take. Eagles are just solid. They're going to be able to make some big plays. And that's going to be key number three, which is the defense is going to have to step up. You're going to have to contain Saquon Barkley, force Jalen Hurts into mistakes. That was the thing. I think that's the thing that makes the biggest difference. You had mentioned Lattimore for A.J. Brown. That's great. But Lattimore in the run game is really solid as well. Not because necessarily he's making all these tackles, but because you can trust him to be one-on-one with A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, however they line up, if Smith even goes. But you can trust him to be one-on-one with A.J. Brown or one-on-one with his assignment, bring that second safety down into the box, and that sets up the run defense a little bit better, gets an extra man down there, which was a big issue we ran into against the Ravens, which was we came out against the Ravens and we sold out for Derrick Henry, basically. And as a result, because of the corners that we have, Zay Flowers was running naked all over the secondary, wide open with nobody near him. I mean, he had 111 yards in the first half. Derrick Henry was contained, but Flowers was able to just go crazy. And then when you drop that second safety back, now Henry's able to eat. We need that help at corner. So hopefully, I don't know. Maybe they're just.
I think the strengths of this defense we've seen has been putting pressure on the quarterback.
Definitely.
We've done a really good job of putting pressure on the quarterback.
Fowler is third in the league in sacks.
And it's been a team effort, right? I mean, and Fowler's been amazing, 8.5 sacks. I think we discredited him. We had him at 7.5, but we didn't. He's actually at 8.5 now. I also think that we've been playing the run a little bit better. I mean, Pittsburgh racked up a lot of yards, but their yards per carry wasn't great. It was less than 4 yards. So I do think we've started to see the team get a little bit more stout against the run. That's going to be a tall ask against, the Eagles. But I just hope that we pressure Hurts, put some hits on him, force him into some mistakes. And, I think the biggest matchup I said I was worried about Saquon, but also, that matchup of their receivers against our secondary is a concern. Yeah. I'd also like to see Chris Rodriguez a little more if B-Rob's not going.
Yeah, definitely.
I know you disagreed with me, but I just don't think Austin Eckler is that lead back. And I know they're kind of saying he's our second guy, so we're going to leverage it more. I like to see more Chris Rodriguez early, and so that we can get him in that mini B-Rob type role.
Yeah. That would be great. I'd like to see that as well because I think this offense does best. I mean, here's the problem, man. There's just not a lot of guys that run like Brian Robinson. My comp for him is David Montgomery. I think he runs just like D-Mont, and I think he's just those two guys. I think are two of the toughest. I think it's like David Montgomery, Brian Robinson, and Derrick Henry. Not in that order, of course, but I think those are probably the three toughest runners. Saquon's up there as well, but pure toughness, pure how hard they are to tackle. Probably three of the toughest runners in ball right now.
But we've seen when Rodriguez has gotten a chance that he's not comparing him to B-Rob, but I understand he can't replace him, but I think he's the closest thing we've got.
Yeah, and that's what I think this offense is built on is that power running, not necessarily the Austin Eckler type shiftiness. That's a nice switch up, but I think it's the power running is the main thing that this offense is predicated upon.
So wears the defense down.
So yeah, and it's what makes it so difficult is Brian Robinson gets touched and then he goes for 5 more yards. And so that's where we've been seeing when Robinson's not healthy, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 7. We see that more as opposed to when Robinson was healthy, we're seeing 2nd and 2, another first down, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 6, So those few yards change a lot about how you continue to the sequence goes in the call sheet, so to speak. Anyways, I think that's about it for the Eagles breakdown. Obviously, we're going to throw in.
I think we've done an extremely thorough
Bada Bets. Yeah, it's division game, man. It's a division game. You got to turn it up a little bit for the division opponent here. I know time got away from us a little bit, but I mean, just a jam-packed 30 minutes of content on this Eagles game. So, guys, don't forget, if you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, and we are going to bring to you now our trademark signature segment, the people segment, Bada Bets. Pop.
Rumor has it this might be a YouTube clip at some point.
At some point, we'll see. We'll see. Word's not out yet. But I was 3-2 last week. Pop was 2-3 in week 10.
Wah, wah.
I am now 31-21 on the year. So 10 games over 500. I thought I might have been a little ahead of my skis at 9 games over 500. And I have certainly pulled away. Pop is 27-25 for the year. It's not quite over yet, but Pop's gonna have to go on a generational run in this year. This is the tie-breaking year for the Bada Bets. Pop won year 1, I had year 2, and now this is year 3. Can't believe we've been doing this for 3 years already. But Thursday Night Football, without further ado, we always like to leave the Commanders out of the Bada Bets, but it's a Thursday Night Football game. It's got to count. Commanders at Eagles. Eagles are getting 3.5 here, minus 3.5. Eagles 3.5 point favorites, excuse me. I'm taking the Commanders here, and I think that's just a good bet, period. I think the Eagles are at home, so they get 3 points. Great. But really, it's half a point. It's a division game. They are half a game better than us at this point in the year just because they've already had their bye week and we had it. I think if we had our bye week before that Pittsburgh game, things could be different. So I'm taking that Commanders minus 3.5 or plus 3.5 there for sure.
Yeah, I see this at minimum being a very tight game inside of a field goal. I think Jaden and the offense is going to keep it close, if not jump out to a lead. So I like the Commanders in 3.5.
There you go.
For sure. With the points, for sure.
So we got Sunday at 1:00. We got Ravens getting 3 points at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is currently first place in that AFC North. Ravens are 1 game behind. What do you got there, Pop?
I think this is going to be a war. I think it's going to be a real battle. 3 points is kind of a lot to give up on the road. I'm going Ravens.
Of course. I'm taking the Steelers here. Tomlin getting points at home is a system pick.
What does that mean, of course?
No, I could hear in the way you were setting it up. You were either setting it up to give a big apology for not going with the Ravens, or you were setting it up to go.
The Ravens have done good by me. I tend to ride a team that win, even though they let me down last week with the point spread.
Let you down with the points last week.
You got that one.
Let you down against Cleveland, but it's fine. I'm taking the Steelers there because they're getting 3 points at home. It's a division game. I think this is going to be close. Mike Tomlin makes you play ugly football. We saw it last week.
It's going to be a very, very tight game. So,
yeah,
but still going to stick with the Ravens.
There you go. Fair enough.
I think one rule that I have is if both teams play their best ball, I see that being better than a 3-point win for the Ravens.
Maybe. We'll see.
I think their offense is so much more explosive than the Steelers' offense. Steelers' defense is super good, but it's a lot of weapons to contain with on the Ravens. So I'm sure they'll be highly motivated. I mean, it's game again for first place in the division.
Yep. It's going to be a heck of a game. Yeah. That's a really good matchup. We could do another pod just breaking that down, honestly.
Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one to watch. You got Chiefs at Bills. Bills 2.5 point favorites here at home. Give me the Chiefs. What do you got, Pop?
I had this plan before, but I'm going Bills. I think the Chiefs are due. They've been just, I mean, they won a blocked field goal this past week. So I think the Bills are going to take this one. I think this is the first loss for the Chiefs.
I think Pat's like 11 or 14 in his career when he's getting points. So I'm riding with that. I'm taking the Chiefs. Chiefs get points. It's a rare occurrence, and I'm gonna just go ahead and roll with that. Bengals at Chargers. Chargers 1.5 point favorites here. That is not enough points. Give me the Chargers. The Chargers are a very quiet 6-3 and a very quietly good football team right now at this point in the year. Coached by a good head coach in Harbaugh. They've got a great quarterback playing at a top 5 level this year in Justin Herbert. He's been at top 5 level since he's been in the NFL and not had an injury on the middle finger of his throwing hand. But I'm taking the Chargers 1.5 point favorites here for sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? You got one team that's exceeded expectations in the Chargers, and they've won, playing smart football, playing somewhat conservative. Herbert's having one of his best years because of that, because they're not jumping on his back. You got a Bengals team coming off a heartbreaking loss on Thursday Night Football, but they got that many bye, and they're a desperate football team that's probably underachieved a bit and really need this win. And that's a very talented offensive football team. And I think you got an up-and-comer against a team that's, can really put up some points. And Joe Burrow's playing about as well as anybody. That maybe doesn't get talked about as much because of their record. For all those reasons, I'm going with the Bengals.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, Joe Burrow's been playing it. If you just looked at Joe Burrow's numbers, you would probably think minus win-loss, you would probably think the Bengals are like
it's an MVP caliber season.
9-1 right now. Joe Burrow's been playing with his hair on fire. I mean, he looked absolutely, and Lamar did too. He looked absolutely sensational against the Ravens. He looked phenomenal.
And the game played against us was
unbelievable. Yeah,
right. That was one of our easy wins according to some people.
Yeah, when Joe Burrow puts up 340 yards, that's an easy win.
Yeah,
please. Yeah, fair. It's a fair place to pick. I'm afraid of the Bengals this year, so I'm going Chargers. Texans 7.5 point favorites at the Cowboys. Pop, do you like Cooper Rush getting 7.5 points at home? The sun is not going to be in CeeDee Lamb's eyes today. They know where the sun is going to be on Monday Night Football. The sun will be set. Let Jerry Jones know that. He doesn't know where the sun is on any given day.
I don't want to spend money on shades or curtains.
He has shades. He just doesn't want to draw them. There's curtains in the stadium. It's incredible. Jerry, you're doing great. You're doing great, Jerry.
Keep it up, man.
Big fan of Jerry Jones here on this podcast. I'm taking the Texans. What do you got, Pop?
Yeah, you think at some point the Cowboys are going to wake up, but I got to go Texans. It's a lot of points to give up, and you would think that would be insane earlier in the year. Cowboys at home, but definitely going Texans.
Yeah, Cowboys at home against the Texans at the beginning of this year. You would have projected that to be one of the more fun matchups.
Yeah,
right.
Spicy week. Three differences between us.
Could be a 3-game swing here.
Could be a big swing happening.
Could be a big swing.
Who are you going to go with, people?
Pop could cut the lead to single digits this week. Could be a big swing. But man, always good stuff. Bada Bets is always fun, guys. Let's put some belt to culo against Philadelphia this weekend. All right, let's bring it back here. Everybody focus. Everybody that's with me. Pop wants to give a side note, so much for everybody focus. Pop, drop that side note on him, and then we're going to focus.
It is on the agenda, but I think it's an interesting point, and it's going to take 10 seconds. Cowboys are playing Monday Night Football. They got to come to Washington, or Landover, Maryland. On a short week, we got a mini bye. So that's an amazing schedule break that the league gave us, which we don't tend to get a lot of those. So.
Finally.
Worth noting.
You think getting Cooper Rush on a short week makes up for Mike Tomlin off a bye week when we haven't had our bye yet? You think that's fair? It's a fair exchange there? Whatever.
Take him when you can get him.
Yeah, exactly. Take what you get, I guess. But guys, let's focus up. Let's dial in here, all right? Everybody, I need everybody who's still watching. I need all your energy. We hate this Philadelphia Eagles team. There's no two ways about it. You like to say you don't hate. Hate's a bad thing. In sports, we hate this Philadelphia Eagles team. There's no way around it. This is our division rival. This has been the best rivalry in the division in my lifetime. I know the Cowboys rivalry has more history, but we always go back and forth with the Eagles. They're always a thorn in our side, or we're always a thorn in theirs. Let's put some belt to culo this week. All right? Thursday Night Football. Let's dial in. I'm going to be there, fired up, ready to go. I need all of you there, fired up, ready to go as well, in front of that TV, firing off your parlays of 14, 15, 16 leggers. Get them going. Let's bring the energy for the boys. Let's do this thing. It's time to make a statement. Let the NFL know we're here. We don't fear Nick Sirianni yelling at fans. I want to see Nick Sirianni picking a fight with a Commanders fan by the end of this game. I want it to go so bad. That's where I want this to be for the Eagles, all right? So let's do it. Let's get us there. Let's win.
I love the passion.
Football game.
I love the passion. I got to just put a footnote on this thing. Dominic's never felt a belt on his culo. Pop managed a little bit by intimidation, but never laid a hand on a boy. Let's just be clear. There you go.
That's important.
Let's just be clear about that.
That's important.
But
that's important. It's important to note. It's important to note. Pop held it down.
He had a soft upbringing. You know, he'll tell you differently.
This is an anti-child abuse podcast, but a pro Eagles abuse podcast. So let's whoop some Eagles this weekend. Let's wrap this thing up, guys. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Put that left hand up.
Hail.
Thank you all for another great week, and hail to the Commanders.